Hi y'all, Archie Native Flor-xan, and today we're going to be talking pinto beans. Now, growing up in the South, in Florida, pinto beans was a staple for us. Little pinto beans and cornbread, and little chow chow relish on top. That was the ticket back in the day. So, here in Texas, they do them a little bit differently, but how they make the beans is pretty much the same across the board. So, if you don't know how to make pinto beans, hang in there and let's get into it. Alright, so I have 1 pound of pinto beans that I've taken, kind of sorted through it, making sure there's no rocks or anything in it. Then I kind of rinsed them off. Now I've got just some simple water. We're going to put that in there. We're going to let these soak several hours, and then we'll get into cooking them. Now, a lot of times people would put them in a crock pot, and you can certainly do that. But I want to cook these in the Dutch oven and have them ready to eat by this evening. So we're going to cook these hot and fast, and I'm going to show you how we're going to do that. Alright, so while our beans are soaking, I'm going to start prepping some of our other stuff. And I like to use hog jaw, or as it says on the package, pork jowl bacon. But this was a staple in our house as well. It's a cheap cut of pork that already comes smoked, and it added a lot of flavor to our beans. So we're going to get to cutting this up and then prepping some of our other stuff. And we're off to the races. I'm just going to cube this up, but I forgot I needed to put a towel under that board so it quit wiggling around. But yeah, I'm just going to cube this up into smaller pieces and make it easy enough to pick up with a spoon. Alright folks, so we got it all cut up. Now this is way more than what I need for 1 pot of beans, but the reason I bought such a big piece of that is we're going to take probably half of this, bag it up, place it in the freezer, and that's what we're going to use come New Year's to make our black-eyed peas. Alright, so we got it bagged up. I got one vacuum sealed. If y'all don't use these bags and these quick little sealers, I'm telling you, it's a game changer. I've got a regular food saver that the bags you got to cut and seal one in and all that. These make life a lot easier. So if you hadn't invested in one of them, I highly recommend it. We got our 2 bags, what's going in the freezer, what's going in the fridge for our beans tonight. And then we're going to get started cutting up our vegetables for this. Alrighty folks, we got all this chopped up how we want it. I like my onions to be kind of big and my beans. That's why I didn't chop them up real fine. And them shallots, as they cook, will break up and dissolve. But half a large onion, 1 good sized shallot, and that ought to do it for our beans. Alright folks, so we've had our beans soaking for about 3 hours now in that cold water. And you can see how they've kind of swelled up a little bit. Now most people will tell you, well, soak them overnight, hydrate them all the way, blah blah blah. I don't do that. I let them soak in some water for a little bit. We're going to drain this out, and then we're going to go ahead and get them in our Dutch oven, and I'll show you what we're going to do from there. Alright, into the pot we go. So some people may not agree with me, but I have a belief, sheerly my belief, that if this bean will swell up, picking up water, it can pick up flavor. And that's why I like to stop it. And then we're going to get it into this beef broth here and let it soak up all, or as much of that beef broth as we can. So we'll let this sit a few more hours in this, and then come back to it and then get it out there on the burner. Alrighty, so our beans have soaked for a couple hours in our beef broth. Let's get them seasoned up and get them out there. So to the pot, I'm going to add 4 cups of water. Alright, to that I'm going to add a couple tablespoons of some pinto bean seasoning. This is just a Fiesta brand that the wife happens to like. I'm going to add about a tablespoon of my house seasoning, which is salt, pepper, garlic powder, onion powder. I'm going to add about a teaspoon of some smoked paprika. And then I like my beans a little peppery, so I'm going to add a little more black pepper. That's optional. You don't have to add it if you don't want. So now we're going to add our hog jaw that we chopped up. And then we'll add our onion and shallots. Kind of stir this around, get everything incorporated. Get it out there to the burner. We'll bring it up to a boil, and then the only other thing we're going to add is some cilantro. But I like to add that after it's coming up on the burner. Alright, so we got our burner lit. We're going to let this come up to a boil, turn it down to a simmer, and then we'll let it cook for a few hours. You can probably hear my pit running in the background. That's a little something special that's going to come out on the next video I do. It's always good to keep some water nearby in case your pot boils out a lot of the moisture. You can always add a little more back in. Alright folks, so as you can see, we got us a good little simmer going. I'm just going to chunk that cilantro in there. So we brought it up to a boil. Now we got us a good little simmer going. We're going to put that lid back on here and let them cook. Alright, so these have been cooking for a couple of hours. Been coming by, just stirring them every now and again. Looking pretty good. I don't think I'm going to add any more water to it. But, let's try a bean out and see how they... So I think I'm going to let them run another half hour or so, make sure they get nice and cooked through. Alright folks, so we just killed our fire. Beans are nice and tender. And again, they made a nice kind of a gravy in there. So I'm going to take them inside, let them cool a little bit, and then we'll try some of them out. Got our beans off. I think total cook time was about 2.5 hours. And I've already given a little bit to the wife, met her approval, so everything's good. But I dipped out a little bit to try here on camera, so been letting it set and cool, but let's see what this come out to be. Alright, so here we go. That's good. That's real good. Got a little piece of hog jaw in there. That was good. Alright folks, so again, easy bean recipe to try. Just wanted to share it with you. So I hope you try it out. Thanks to all you subscribers out there. I really appreciate y'all supporting me. And we'll see you on the next one.